Hey guys, my name's David, this is Unbound, and welcome to my campsite up in the mountains in Oregon. 5 years ago, to the date, I made a video on why I don't use a weight distribution hitch when towing my travel trailer with my truck, and I still have the exact same truck and trailer that I had back then. And there were a lot of misconceptions on what I was trying to convey that I noticed down in the comments. And so after 5 more years of not using a weight distribution hitch, I wanted to try to state more clearly why I still don't use a weight distribution hitch. In short, my truck is a heavy-duty 3/4 ton diesel pickup, and so it can very easily tow my fairly short and fairly light travel trailer, which is only 24 feet long and only weighs about 6,500 pounds fully loaded. And when my truck is hooked up to the trailer with just this straight ball here, they both sit level and there's no unnecessary squat in the rear of my truck, and so my front tires are not unloaded. And then when it comes to trailer sway, my truck is an extended cab long bed, and so it has a really long wheelbase, and that longer wheelbase results in a more stable ride, and the truck can actually fight trailer sway a lot better. And then my trailer is a fairly short dual axle trailer, and since it has dual axles, that's 2 axles to fight sway, 4 tires making connection to the ground, and so my rig is just very stable going down the road at highway speeds. So there you go. That's why I still don't use a weight distribution hitch. All right, video over. Let's wrap this up. Okay, so all jokes aside, in a nutshell, that's why I don't use weight distribution. But I want to make it very clear that I'm not against weight distribution hitches, and I'm not trying to talk anyone out of using a weight distribution hitch. It's just that my specific truck and trailer combination don't require one. But there are very many situations and rig combinations where weight distribution is essential, especially weight distribution with sway control. So this video is really for anyone out there that is still trying to decide whether they need a weight distribution hitch, or for anyone that wants my recommendation on the best weight distribution hitch out there, because in this video I'm going to explain how weight distribution hitches work, especially those with sway control. I'm going to give you a recommendation on what I think is the best weight distribution hitch out there, and I'll go deeper into why my specific setup doesn't require one, but why yours might. So I've hooked up the Camco Eaz-Lift Recurve R6 weight distribution hitch with sway control to my truck to try and help illustrate how these hitches work. So on a trailer, the weight placed forward of the axle creates a downward force on the hitch ball on the back of the tow vehicle, and this is known as tongue weight. Excessive tongue weight pushes the rear of the tow vehicle down, which causes the front end to rise, which results in a reduction in steering control and can result in a total loss of control. And a weight distribution hitch like this one helps to evenly distribute that tongue weight up to the front tires and back to the tires on the trailer. And it accomplishes that by using these spring bars right here. There are a lot of different configurations of weight distribution hitches, and so it's similar how they get things done, but the specifics are slightly different. And so obviously I'm going to be explaining how the Recurve R6 accomplishes it. So the spring bars slide into the hitch through the top, and then over on the trailer, there are brackets that clamp to the frame of the trailer, and then these spring bars are lifted up and placed on top of those brackets. That causes these spring bars to press down on the frame of the trailer, which results in the back end of the tow vehicle getting pushed up. And this helps to then distribute the load up to the front of the tow vehicle, which then brings the front of the tow vehicle down as well, increasing the steering control that the tow vehicle then has. Sway control is also crucial for many towing setups, because if there's a high gust side wind, or say a big rig comes by you, it's going to cause your trailer to sway around, and that can also then cause your truck to move around, and that can result in a catastrophic loss of control. There are many different ways in how weight distribution hitches provide sway control, but the way way that the Recurve does it is actually really cool. And just with the turning of this little key here, it can turn the sway control on or off, which is great because if you're in really slippery conditions or if you're gonna be needing to make really tight turns, it's nice to be able to just have that sway control off. But even when you've got the sway control set to on, this weight distribution hitch will actually automatically disengage the sway control if you're making a really tight turn at a slow speed, like say in a parking lot. And then once you straighten the truck and trailer back out, it will re-engage the sway control automatically, which is just really nice because that eliminates the truck and trailer feeling tight as you're trying to make low speed maneuvers. And the way it achieves this is it's got a bearing that when engaged fits up into a socket, and that resists the rotation and sway of the trailer. But if you are making a low speed tight turn, it will automatically disengage. It will rotate over that ball, providing you free movement. And then when you straighten it back out, that ball will then pop back into the socket, providing that sway control. You can see how I'm able to rotate this whole assembly right now while the sway control is off. That's how easy it rotates. But just by turning this key, and I'll turn the other one to on as well. Now, those bearings are fighting the rotation and I'm just not strong enough to be able to overcome that force. Whereas, you know, the force of the trailer is gonna be able to rotate this still slightly, unless again, you're making a low speed turn, then it will rotate past that, providing that full rotation. And then as it straightens back out, it'll straighten back out and provide that sway resistance again. So that's the basics of how weight distribution and sway control works. Again, different weight distribution hitches are going to achieve those basic principles differently, but that's essentially how they work and specifically how this one works. And now for those of you that want a recommendation on what weight distribution hitch with sway control to go with, it's this one. It's the Camco Eaz-Lift Recurve R6. There's a reason that this one is the one that I'm demonstrating to you, and it's because it is quite simply the best weight distribution hitch that I've seen. It's the premium weight distribution hitch that Camco offers, and there's a reason that it's the premium one, and it's because it solves a lot of headaches and problems that traditional or legacy weight distribution hitch designs cause. The first is that a lot of legacy sway control designs are trailer weight dependent, and so they are a reactive system and they have unpredictable sway control, whereas the sway control on the Recurve R6 is dynamic and it proactively engages regardless of what the load is. Another headache with other weight distribution hitches is that the sway control, when everything's all hooked up, can't be turned off. And so it's gonna feel like everything's wanting to bind or just be really tight when you're trying to make those tight, low speed maneuvers. Whereas with this one, like I showed you earlier, the sway control can be turned off and then back on super easily while everything's hooked up. And the sway control on those other weight distribution hitches typically utilize friction and metal on metal contact. And so the performance of that sway control is going to degrade over time as those components wear out and they'll eventually need to be replaced. And that metal on metal contact causes a lot of noise, whereas this one is practically silent while it's working. It doesn't utilize metal on metal contact or friction to control the sway, and so you're not gonna have that fading in performance and the need to replace parts over time. Other weight distribution hitches also use square spring bars that are really stiff. And that stiffness many times results in just a harsh ride. Whereas the Recurve R6 uses roll tapered forged bars designed to flex with trailer movement for better comfort. And then the last thing that I found that makes this weight distribution hitch better than others I found is it was just super easy to set up. A lot of other weight distribution hitches are just really awkward and quite frankly annoying to hook up, whereas this one is the sleekest design that I've seen. And it utilizes these inverted spring bars that go up and over instead of mount from the bottom and go down and over, which helps maintain your ground clearance. And the brackets that mount to the frame of the trailer are universal, so you don't have to worry about whether or not they're gonna work for your rig. So if after watching this video and doing all your own research, if you decide that you do need a weight distribution hitch and you want to find one of these, I will put links down in the video description below. But now let's talk about specifically why I don't use weight distribution, and instead, I just use one of those. So I'm gonna break this part of the video up into two sections. The first is why I don't, but you might need to use weight distribution, and then why I don't, but you may need to use sway control, because they're two different things, and you can just get weight distribution hitches without sway control, and you can get sway control devices without weight distribution, but I use neither. And let me start by saying that I have been a full-time RVer since 2017. That is over 8 years I've lived full-time in my travel trailer. I have towed this truck and this trailer together well over 100,000 miles in those 8 years. The first is that I just have more truck than I need to tow my trailer. I have a 3/4 ton heavy duty diesel pickup truck. And if you've never driven, owned, or towed with a diesel pickup, then let me be the first to tell you, diesels are built different. A 3/4 ton gasoline pickup truck is not equivalent to a 3/4 ton diesel. My pickup truck has extremely stiff suspension that is purpose built for towing and hauling. And so when I hook my travel trailer up to just that straight ball hitch on my truck, I have very, very minimal sag in the rear, and the front of my truck does not tilt up at all. And so my front tires maintain the proper amount of steering control that I need to safely go down the road even at highway speeds. And so I have a ridiculous amount of real world towing data that has told me that I just don't need weight distribution or sway control. Another thing that really helps is that my truck is a long bed extended cab. And so it has a really long wheelbase. So what that means is that the front of the truck has a longer lever arm to keep its weight firmly planting the front wheels down on the ground. It's just simple physics. Whereas with trucks that have shorter wheelbases like standard cabs and short bed pickups, you have a shorter wheelbase. And so the weight on that tongue is going to be able to lift the front of the truck up easier. If that's hard to visualize, then just imagine, let's say 20 pounds that are, a foot out from your hand. You've got a better chance of keeping that 20 pounds up than you would if that 20 pounds was extended out, say 100 or 200 feet. You just would not be able to keep that from falling down because it's got a longer lever arm. And moving on to my trailer, it's just not that big. It's only 24 feet long and weighs about 6,500 pounds, so it just doesn't put that much weight onto the rear of my truck. My truck is rated to tow trailers up to 12,000 pounds, and so this thing is just over half of that. So when I was originally picking out my truck and trailer combination, I decided on the travel trailer I wanted first. And then I went out and I bought a truck that I knew would have no problems towing that trailer. And then I went and used that truck to buy the trailer and tow it home. I know not everyone can be in that ideal situation, so how do you know if you need a weight distribution hitch? Because you probably already have a truck and you're looking to buy a travel trailer. And here are some rules of thumb. If you've got a half-ton gasoline pickup, especially one with a short bed, you're probably gonna need weight distribution unless you're towing just the absolute lightest of trailers, like a teardrop or something smaller. Anything that's this size, anywhere near this size or larger, you're definitely gonna need weight distribution. And even heavy duty pickup trucks, 3/4 ton HDs, 1 tons, dualies, diesels, can potentially still need weight distribution also if they're carrying very heavy trailers. Like I said, mine's 6,500 pounds, but if you're going well over that, like 8,000, 10,000 pound trailers, you're probably gonna need weight distribution also. It's only in those situations where you've got way more truck than you need to tow the trailer that you don't need weight distribution. Now let's talk about sway control. The fact that my truck is an extended cab long bed, so it has a really long wheelbase, also helps it not need sway control. And it's a similar physics principle as what we talked about before that makes the truck more stable going down the road while towing with a longer wheelbase. And it's because those side loads that want to wag the truck back and forth have to overcome the longer moment arm, again, that the front tires have. The resistive forces that the front tires of the truck have to fight against being wagged around have a longer moment arm on longer wheelbase trucks than shorter wheelbase trucks. And it's really just that simple. You'll find that longer wheelbase trucks are going to be more stable while towing. And then my travel trailer is fairly resistant to sway also because it's a fairly short trailer, but it has 2 axles, and those dual axles makes a huge deal. Now think about it. Think about some of the long travel trailers you've seen, 30 plus feet. They have dual axles also a lot of the times. You don't really see triple axles until you get into the really heavy toy haulers. And if you go just a little bit shorter than this on the Springdale line down to 22 feet, they only have 1 axle. And so I really have this special case where I have a fairly short trailer with dual axles. And the reason dual axles helps is think about that trailer trying to sway around. If it only has 1 axle, then it's a lot easier for the body of the travel trailer to pivot around those tires. But the dual axles are really gonna help fight that pivoting, and you have 4 tires fighting that pivoting than just 2. And so, yeah, I just really have this special case with this travel trailer. And so when is it a good idea for you to have sway control? Again, if you have a short bed or a single cab truck, especially if it's a half ton, it just doesn't weigh very much and you don't have that wheelbase to help stabilize the ride. I forgot to mention that with the truck. The longer the truck is, it's just heavier. And the heavier the truck is, the better it's gonna be able to fight trailer sway. And then if you just have a single axle trailer, it's probably a good idea to have sway control because yeah, again, it's just really, it's gonna be much easier for it to pivot around those 2 tires and start to sway. But if you've got a dual axle shorter trailer, you might not need it. But if you have a dual axle much longer trailer, again, now your trailer has a longer moment arm to swing the truck around. Long trailers probably should consider sway control there as well. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope I was clearly able to explain what weight distribution with sway control is, what I think the best weight distribution hitch with sway control out there is, and why I don't need either of those, but why you might. It just all depends on your specific truck and trailer setup. But if you like this video or you found it helpful and you'd like to buy me a drink, you can go through that QR code right there, and I'll also put a link down in the description below. If this is your first time on the channel and you like RV DIY maintenance videos, informational videos like this one, but especially full-time RV travel and adventure videos, then please consider subscribing because that's what this channel is all about. But again, my name's David, this is Sweetie, this is Fate Unbound, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Good girl, good girl. All right, I've been talking to the camera all day. I am hungry, I'm gonna eat some dinner. Sweetie was laying down outside with me in the shade the whole time. Every time I looked at her, she just gave me this look of like, you done yet, dude? All right, Sweetie, let's get some food and then let's go have some fun, man. Yeah, come on, bub, come on, yeah. All right, now let's talk specifically why I don't use. It's heavy.